The winning blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
As we continue down the slate of games, our next stop takes us to Philadelphia and what was thought to be probably the most intriguing matchup of the weekend between the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. This Ravens team looked like a juggernaut last weekend on Monday Night Football. They dominated thoroughly the Cincinnati Bengals, and they really throttled them at home, put a nice whooping on them. And I thought that this Eagles team barely got out of Cleveland with a victory. And I thought, look, if this Eagles team doesn't get their act together, they're going to lose to this Ravens football team. They can't afford to turn the ball over 3, 4, 5 times and think they're going to beat the Ravens. The Ravens just aren't going to stand for it. But that wasn't the case. That's exactly what the Eagles did. They turned the football over another 4 times in this game. Vic was atrocious, turning the ball over. They had an impressive opening drive of the football game, and Vic gets all the way down inside the 10-yard line and throws an egregious pick in the end zone. Bernard Pollard made a great play on the football, and no harm was really done because the Ravens turned the football right back over as the Eagles forced a fumble from Joe Flacco. And so this game was chock full of errors by both teams. And the officials in this game were horrible, and I thought they set the tone for the weekend. These were 2 aggressive football teams playing against each other to start out. And I thought that these officials in this game exacerbated the fact that these were 2 aggressive teams. And they went after each other, and there's a lot of extracurricular activity going on. And these referees did not get control of this football game. I thought that a lot of extra things were going on after the play was over, after the whistle was being blown, and these officials did not do a good job of restoring order in this football game. And I thought that the players started to try to take advantage of the fact that these officials were not aggressive and were not willing to throw people out of games for throwing punches and doing extra things at the end of plays. And so these players can sense when there's a substitute teacher in the room. And these officials are not the real officials. They don't have the respect of these players. And so I think the players are going to take advantage of them as much as possible. And I thought it was evident that that was in fact taking place in this football game. And the officials not only did a poor job of keeping the order in this game, they also made some really bad calls throughout the course of this game. None worse than the Jacoby Jones offensive pass interference call in the end zone that cost the Ravens a touchdown pass. And that ultimately, for all intents and purposes, was the deciding factor in the game. Yeah, the Ravens could have stopped the Eagles on that final drive that turned out to be the game-winning touchdown when Michael Vick took the ball into the end zone. But that took points off of the scoreboard in a time where the Eagles were reeling, and that touchdown would have served as a potential knockout blow in this game. Instead, it kept the Eagles alive and allowed them to come back and win this football game. And so these officials played a very integral part in the Eagles finding a way to come out on top. I feel like Michael Vick is not going to last this entire season if he continues to take shots like he did against this Ravens football team. He was bruised and battered and knocked around at one point, clutching his ribs after a Haloti Ngata blow. And look, they're going to have to find a way to keep him upright. He's going to have to find ways to stay out of harm's way. And I know it's easier said than done, but he's not going to last if he continues to take shots the way he did in this football game. Vick had 2 turnovers throwing the football, 2 interceptions in this game. And I thought that he could have had another 2 or 3 more. He lives dangerously. And I don't know if it's because of how strong his arm is or if he's just not seeing guys, defenders around the football, but he forces balls into windows that aren't even tight. There's not a window to speak of. And sometimes I don't even know what he's looking at. And luckily for him, guys, we're not catching the football because Vick should have had 4 or 5 interceptions in this game thrown. He lives on the edge of risky football. I mean, he teeters and borders on insanity when it comes to making boneheaded plays with the football. And I know it has to drive Andy Reid nuts sometimes watching him back there make some of the decisions that he makes. But all in all, he was able to make enough good plays in this game, and the defense was able to keep them in the game. And I thought that this Eagles defense was gashed in the run game. I thought Ray Rice was destroying this Eagles defense on the ground. That offensive line of the Ravens was pushing this Eagles front around and getting to the second level and allowing Ray Rice to gash them in the run game. But this Ravens team, for some reason, could not punch the ball into the end zone and score points as they did so frequently and easily a week ago against the Bengals. And so they allowed the Eagles to stay in this football game by kicking field goals. And it ultimately was their undoing as the Eagles were able to hang around, and just as they did a week ago against the Browns, hang around in the game and come back on the last drive and go down and get the game-winning score. It almost didn't happen as the replacement officials awarded the Ravens the ball after what appeared to be a Vick fumble, which I didn't think was that close, on a Haloti Ngata hit of Michael Vick. They awarded the ball to the Ravens and had to go to the replay booth to overturn it and give the Eagles back the football. And ultimately, Vick scored on the very next play to give the Eagles the go-ahead score, what proved to be the difference in the game. And so this Eagles team is very fortunate to be 2-0 right now, because they have played bad enough to be 0-2 right now, but luck is on their side. And that's a big part of playing in the NFL, is having luck. It's having breaks to go your way, and the Eagles right now are benefiting from a lot of lucky breaks, a lot of lucky bounces, and a lot of teams not being able to take full advantage of all these Eagle mistakes. Nonetheless, the Eagles found a way at home to get a win against a quality opponent, 24-23 over the Ravens, taking their record to 2-0. Meanwhile, the Ravens fall to 1-1 on this young NFL season, and they have to be kicking themselves because they have to feel like they let a game slip away. Although the replacement referees had a lot to do with it, they still could have had a different outcome happen on the field if they would have took care of business. As we continue to skate through the slate of Sunday afternoon games, we find ourselves landing in Seattle, where the Dallas Cowboys traveled out to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks. And what a difference a week makes if you're the Dallas Cowboys. A week ago, Wednesday, you looked like a team poised to step up and make things happen in the NFC East. You look like a team that was ready to answer some questions, answer some doubters, and go out and potentially exceed any kind of expectations that you probably could have had for yourself. Instead, I talked to my dad, who is a humongous Cowboys fan, and I told him, right now you're playing with house money. Don't go and spend it all in Seattle, meaning you won a football game that you had no business winning to start out the season. No one had you winning in New York against the Giants. And so now you have money in the bank. You have money to burn because you won a game that you probably had no business winning. No one had you winning. That was a loss on most people's prognostications. And so now you had one game left to spend. If you wanted to waste it somewhere, maybe you would have preferred to have done that down the road. But again, I told him, now you have a game under your belt that you probably shouldn't have had. Don't go wasting that house money that you have, that extra money in the bank. Don't go spending it all in Seattle. Don't go losing to the Seahawks this week after having such a great first week to the season. What did they do? Opening kickoff, Felix Jones goes out and sets the tempo for the day. He fumbles the opening kickoff, to which the Seahawks recover. The Cowboys actually have an opportunity to not give up any points on this possession, as Bruce Carter, their second-year linebacker, but for all intensive purposes is a rookie because he missed the entire 2011 season. So he's really playing in his first full season as a Cowboy starter. Had the ball thrown right to him by starting five-member rookie Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. Ball couldn't have been thrown to him any better. Couldn't have been breastfed to him. He couldn't have ran up and handed to him any easier. And he drops the interception. The Seahawks end up getting 3 on that possession. They kick off the ball again to the Cowboys, force the Cowboys to punt. What do the Cowboys do? Have their punt blocked. So special teams right away in this football game put the Cowboys, because they picked this, that was a touchdown made punt block. I mean, he blocked it and it bounced up on a perfect carom to the Seahawks special teams member, who casually grabbed the football as it caromed right up to him, eye level, perfectly, where he could just catch it and stroll right into the end zone. Unabated. Touchdown, 10-0, Seattle Seahawks. And you're thinking to yourself, the Cowboys offense nor defense has done anything to deserve a 10-point deficit, but the special teams decided to stink it up and put you in a 10-point hole right off the bat. One that the Cowboys would never recover from. As they went down the field later on in the first half, got a touchdown, cut the lead to 7-10. But the Seahawks went and got a field goal, added another touchdown later on, went to 20-7. And at that point, you knew the game was getting out of control. This Seahawks defense is for real. Watching this game, they harassed Tony Romo. And this Cowboys offense looked out of sync. I thought players were uncharacteristically dropping footballs. Jason Witten, who's as short-handed as you get in this league at tight end, dropped a key pass on a third down. Des Bryant dropped a pass on a third down, one that was easily catchable, and one that he catches 9 times out of 10. I just thought this offense was out of sync. Tony Romo was short on a lot of passes, skipping the ball to. He looked like Donovan McNabb, skipping passes to intended receivers repeatedly. This defense was really peeling on him. They were putting pressure on Tony Romo constantly, forcing the issue, forcing him to make bad throws, and ultimately forcing him to throw an interception that the Seahawks ended up getting points off of. And so the Cowboys just played a bad game all the way around. They were not efficient on the offensive side of the football. They weren't able to slow the Seahawks down on offense. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were constantly on the field. The offense was not sustaining drives. They weren't scoring points. And so this defense was constantly and consistently being put on the field in bad situations by the special teams, by the offense. And they got worn down after a while, and they started to see beast mode, Marshawn Lynch coming their way, and it was just hard for them to deal with that. I thought Russell Wilson had an extremely efficient day at quarterback. Nothing spectacular, nothing out of the ordinary, but I thought he just went in, controlled the offense, did his job, and when opportunities presented itself to make plays like the one did to the tight end McCoy over the middle for a 22-yard touchdown pass, he made plays. 15 of 20 for 150 yards, nothing spectacular, one touchdown, no interceptions. He didn't make the big mistake. He took what the defense was giving him, and he just controlled this offense, and they were an extremely efficient offense against this Cowboys defense. Beast mode went for 120, over 120 yards on 22 carries, and so they really controlled this game, and they did what they wanted to do on the offense. And I thought that this environment that the Cowboys were in Seattle, I felt like it rattled them. I thought that they weren't prepared to handle the noise, to handle that environment playing in Seattle, and there's no excuse for that. That's a veteran team led by Tony Romo and DeMarcus Ware, guys who have been there before, who have played there before. It was no excuse for them to come out as flat as they did, and I just thought that they looked like a team that was shell-shocked, like they weren't expecting that environment and that team to be as good and as loud as it was. And so the Cowboys went into Seattle, and for the majority of the game had absolutely no shot of winning. Right from the opening kickoff when Felix Jones fumbled, and they essentially trailed from that point on, and they never really recovered from the special teams mishaps that happened at the beginning of the game. And so the Cowboys fell to the Seattle Seahawks by the final score of 27-7. And so the Seahawks get their first win of the season, going to 1-1, and the Cowboys have their first loss, and dropping them to 1-1. And so both of these teams look to improve their records in week 3. The Cowboys look to bounce back next week, finally getting a home game next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They look to try to get their record to 2-1. And the Seattle Seahawks will be looking to improve on their record as well as they continue with their rookie quarterback, Russell Wilson, at the helm. Another participant of the starting 5 who looked awfully good on Sunday afternoon. So after traveling to Seattle, we move on to our next stop down these slate of games, and we find ourselves in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers were waiting on the Jets. And this was a good matchup because this was a desperate Pittsburgh Steelers team, one that was wounded and vulnerable, and the Jets had an opportunity to come in, make a statement that they were for real and that they were going to be a team to contend with in the AFC by coming in and knocking off a wounded and desperate Pittsburgh Steelers team. What happened was the Steelers reached down deep, got contributions from a lot of their players, and they won in a team effort, which is what the Steelers do. They're an excellently coached football team. I told you I love Mike Tomlin as a head coach, and no matter what the circumstance, he's not going to make excuses. He's going to have this team prepared to play on Sundays, and it showed. I thought the Steelers early on in this game had opportunities to score touchdowns. They did not finish drives, and it resulted in them kicking field goals early on in this game, leaving the door open for the Jets. And initially, I thought the Jets did an excellent job of going right down the field, first possession, marching down the field. Their game plan was clear. Run the football, play action fake off of that, get the ball out of Sanchez's hands early and quickly to his playmakers and allow them to make plays after the catch. And I thought that first drive was textbook. They ran the football with Sean Green, got into manageable third downs, and converted these third downs, ultimately culminating in a play action fake to a wide open and San Antonio Holmes, who ran it in for a touchdown in his return to Pittsburgh. And they got out to an early 7-3 lead on the Steelers, and they looked good. It was an impressive drive. And if you were a Jets fan, you were probably thinking, this is what we showed up to do. Take advantage of no James Harrison, take advantage of no Troy Polamalu, make them pay on the defensive side of the football, slow them down offensively with our defense, and find ways to outscore them when this game is said and done. However, that was not the case. After that initial drive, the Jets, I thought, had opportunities that they just flat out missed on to score points and to really put the onus on the Pittsburgh Steelers to have to make plays. I thought they missed on opportunities. They didn't take advantage of situations where they could have scored points. Sanchez missed open receivers down the field who could have scored touchdowns. And so they had to settle for field goals, and they left the door open for the Steelers. And you know, a team like the Steelers, it's only a matter of time before they get you if you allow them to hang around. Good teams find ways to stay in ball games until they get their act together, and then they put their foot on your throat, and you can't come back from that. And that's what the Steelers did. I felt like after their initial early game lull, they woke up, scored a touchdown right before the half to take the lead, and they really never looked back afterwards. They took the Jets out of their game plan. They got pressure on Sanchez, made him uncomfortable, stopped the running game, and made Sanchez have to beat them, which he was not willing to do. And after that, it was academic at that point. The Steelers were going to assume control of this football game, and they did. And they started scoring touchdowns, put the Jets away. The Jets got desperate. We saw the first Tim Tebow package, and he came in and gave them a quick, brief spark. His first play in, he runs his spread offense, fakes the handoff, takes it up the middle, and he runs for about a good 27 yards. The next play, they fake the they get into the spread again. This time, he fakes pulling the spread out, giving the handoff to McKnight, who runs for about a good 12 or 13 yards. And so you're thinking, okay, this drive has some promise. But right after that, they stopped him for a loss on the next play. McKnight lost about 4 or 5 yards, and then that drive went nowhere. And that was really their last glimmer of hope on the offensive side of the football. What this game said to me is that the Jets just aren't ready yet. They're not ready to go on the road. And I said this in the preview. They're not ready to go on the road against a tough opponent like the Steelers and dig down deep and get a victory. They're not ready yet. And it's going to take time for them. Maybe down the road in week 12 or 13, they'll be ready to go on the road against a tough AFC opponent and get one. But right now, they're just not ready to do so. They're not ready mentally and physically with their young players. I don't know if they're ready to go and assume that kind of responsibility on the road. And so the Steelers took command of this football game and got the victory 27-10 over the Jets in a game that the Steelers needed to have. They couldn't afford to lose this game. Now, the Ravens lost, and so that would have made this game, had they lost, it would have made it a lot easier to swallow. However, you don't want to start losing football games. You don't want to start losing games at home, and you don't want to fall behind these Ravens early in the season. And this game left both teams staring at a 1-1 mark, and the Steelers moving up to 1-1, the Jets dropping down to 1-1. And moving forward, these teams will be looking to try to improve their standings in their respective divisions. And both of these divisions, after surprising losses by the division champs of a year ago, hey, these divisions are up for grabs. And so if these teams, both these teams, can get their act together and start to win ball games and put pressure on division winners from a year ago, they each have a chance to make some noise in their respective divisions. Our last stop on the Sunday afternoon slate of games finds us in San Diego, where the Tennessee Titans traveled out to the warm, sunny confines of Qualcomm Stadium to take on the San Diego Chargers. And the Chargers followed up their Monday night victory on the road against the Oakland Raiders with an impressive home opening debut against the Tennessee Titans. They jumped on the Titans early, established themselves as a team that was looking to go to 2-0, and Phillip Rivers was sharp. They were minus Antonio Gates and Dante Rosario and Randy McMichael and even Ladarius Green, their rookie tight end out of Louisiana Tech. They all filled in admirably for Antonio Gates. Rosario catching 3 touchdown passes from Phillip Rivers. I thought they just came out. They were sharp. They were effective. Their running backs out of the backfield, whether it was Brinkley or it was Ronnie Brown or it was Jackie Battle, they all asserted themselves well in this football game. They went out, took it to the Titans on the offensive end. On the defensive end, they were able to make Jake Locker have to beat them. They made the Titans one-dimensional. Chris Johnson, for some reason, is not a part of the Titans offense right now. And that's a big question for me. I want to know what is going on with Chris Johnson right now. Is it him? Is it the coaching staff? Are they giving up on the run too soon? These numbers that he's posted in the first 2 games, unacceptable. I can't fathom how he only has, 19 carries through the first 2 games and has a total of less than 50 yards to start the season after 2 games. This is mind-boggling to me. I can't wrap my head around it. So right now I'm struggling with the fact that Chris Johnson is not having a good start to the season. After I saw him in the preseason and I said he's looking to be back. He's looking to have a bounce back season after not posting numbers that are Chris Johnson like in the 2011 season. He still got over 1,000 yards, but this is a guy who rushed for 2,000 yards in just 3 seasons ago. And so I was looking for big things from him this year. He looked good in the preseason. I saw the burst. I saw the sudden change of direction. I said he's looking like the Chris Johnson of old. And then we get this in the first 2 games. I need answers. Somebody tell me what's going on in Tennessee, why the Titans are not running the football effectively, why Chris Johnson is not a big part of this offense. Anyway, I digress and I move back to the football game. I thought that the Chargers took Chris Johnson out of the game or helped the Titans take him out of the game, whatever the case may be. Jake Locker had to win the football game, and he's not ready to do that. And they confused him. They got after him. He made a couple of plays out of the pocket, but for the most part, their offense was stagnant all day long. And the Chargers were never in danger of losing this football game. They had command of this game from early on. And I think that Michael Floyd, if he can remain healthy, which is always an issue with him, because of his slender frame, he always is susceptible to injury. If he can stay healthy, he can be a great replacement for Vincent Jackson. He has the size. He's the same height as Vincent Jackson. He can make plays just as Vincent Jackson did in the passing game. He can go up with anybody in this league and come down with the football. He can run and move. He's a viable target for Phillip Rivers. If he can continue to stay healthy and play and produce the way he did on Sunday, this Chargers offense is going to be just fine in the 2012 season. And the Chargers, they really took it to the Titans and never really let off of the gas as they beat the Titans 37-10 to take their record to 2-0 on this young season. And don't look now, but if the Broncos cannot get it done tonight, the Chargers are 2-0 and division leaders in this division. They might have something to say about everybody anointing the Broncos as back-to-back division champs. And so this Chargers team quietly is 2-0, and they have looked impressive doing so thus far. The Titans dropped to 0-2, and they've got a lot of questions to answer. I need to know what's going on with Chris Johnson. Kenny Britt came back. They slowly trying to work him back into the offense. He's going to be a welcome addition for them in that passing game. But the big story for Tennessee right now is what is going on with Chris Johnson. Why is he not a bigger part of your offense? Why are you guys not making him the bell cow that he's been for you the past 6 seasons? Why is he not being the focal point of your offense? I have questions that only you have the answers to. I need to know something because this right now is unacceptable. Chris Johnson is your best weapon on offense, and you're not utilizing him properly. Is it him? Is it you? Is it a combination of both? Whatever it is, you guys need to get to the bottom of this, figure it out, and get it resolved and get Chris Johnson the football and get him back to the dominant running back that led all of the league in rushing in 2009. Last up on our slate of the Sunday games, we skate all the way out to San Francisco to get a treat as we see the San Francisco 49ers host the Detroit Lions in what I thought was a marquee matchup of the day. Two teams who made the playoffs a year ago, two teams who are dominant on opposite ends of the football. The Detroit Lions being a juggernaut of an offensive football team in 2011, and the San Francisco 49ers who are just absolutely dominant on the defensive side of football. When these two teams meet, they met last year in Detroit, played an excellent game that came down to the wire, and I was looking for something resembling that last night. What I got was another outstanding defensive performance from the San Francisco 49ers, limiting an offense that is used to scoring over 20 points and keeping them under 20, forcing them to kick field goals repeatedly and not allowing them to get into the end zone. And I saw a San Francisco 49ers team who took advantage of mistakes. The Lions roughing the kicker on a field goal attempt that David Akers made, giving them new life. A pass interference penalty on Randy Moss in the end zone, putting them on the 1-yard line, allowing them to score a touchdown on a possession that was going to end in a field goal. And that's what the 49ers do. They don't beat themselves. They did have their first turnover in 18 years, but it was on special teams. Again, this offense does not make mistakes. The defense was able to turn over the Lions. Matthew Stafford made an ill-advised throw that he overthrew about everyone except Deshaun Golston by about 10 yards, and he picked it off. And this defense makes you pay for mistakes. If you make a mistake and make an errant throw, they're not going to drop the football. They're going to make you pay. If you go through your progressions and can't find someone or miss a read, they're going to sack you. That's what this defense does. You make a mistake, you pay for your mistake. And they do the same thing on offense. You make a mistake, have a blunder in the secondary, they're going to expose you, whether it's a short pass that goes for more yardage or it's Frank Gore exposing you in the run game, or just like last week against the Packers, you make a mistake in the secondary and Randy Moss is running wide open for an easy touchdown. The 49ers don't miss anything on both sides of the football. They make the smart plays. They make the efficient plays. And this is why this team is going to be hard to beat in the 2012 season, because they don't beat themselves. I can't state that and stress that enough. They don't beat themselves. They're a well-coached football team by Jim Harbaugh who comes out, executes the game plan to perfection, doesn't turn the ball over, it kicks field goals. They're looking to get in the field goal range. David Akers is going to cash that drive in for 3 points, and then they're going to put pressure on you to have to score because they don't mind kicking 6 field goals. That's 18 points. They're going to look at you and ask you, can you score 18 points on this defense? Probably not. And so they don't mind kicking 5 field goals and scoring 1 touchdown. They look at that as 22 points. Can you score 22 points on my defense? Probably not. And that's the attitude that they have. Just score on every possession that you can, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown, and we'll take care of the rest. And that's what the defense does. And so another good performance by this 49ers team as a whole. Alex Smith, another solid game. Never going to overwhelm you with his numbers. 20 of 31, over 200 yards passing. Again, he doesn't go down the field. He's going to dink and dunk you, but he's going to be efficient. They're going to move the sticks. They're going to get in field goal range. And if you make enough mistakes, they're going to score a touchdown. And so this team continues to play solid football on every aspect of the game, and they're going to be tough to beat. And if the Lions found that out firsthand, as they could not make it to 20 points, and they were able to scrap together 4 field goals and a late game touchdown and make the game look a lot closer than what it was in the final stages. As the 49ers beat the Detroit Lions 27-19 to run their record to 2-0 and drop the Lions down to 1-1 on the season. And that was the last game of Sunday night. Tonight we have a matchup between the Denver Broncos, who are traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. This is going to be an interesting game to see what Peyton Manning is going to be able to do on the road. He's not out of the woods yet. Everybody wants to feel like he's back. He has a long way to go. He's still not pushing the ball down the field the way you want to see. And so going to be interesting to see if he actually takes shots down the field and what happens when he does, in fact, take those shots down the field. Is he going to be effective? Are they going to be able to take advantage of this Falcons secondary that is missing one of their key components in Brent Grimes, who's out for the season now? And so we're going to see if this Broncos team can go on the road against a tough opponent who doesn't lose many games at home and go and get a victory. I think they can, but I don't think they will. I think the Falcons are on a mission this year. Matt Ryan looks like a quarterback that is possessed, that only has one thing in mind, and that's winning a playoff game and going beyond. And so I think this offense is going to score points on this Denver Broncos defense. And they're going to put pressure on Peyton Manning to have to make plays. And I don't know if he's ready to put a team on his shoulders just quite yet. I think that defense is going to have to limit what the Falcons can do on the offensive side of the football, give themselves a chance to stay in this ball game, and then Peyton Manning will be able to win the game for them. But if they get behind and Peyton Manning has to bring them back, I don't think he's ready to do that yet. I see these Falcons going in, running the football, going off of that run with play action fake, getting the ball to their elite receivers, Julio Jones and Roddy White, and getting the ball to Tony Gonzalez when need be, and exposing this Denver Broncos team as a team that needs to play with a lead instead of coming from behind. And although this is going to be a close game, I think that ultimately the Broncos are going to fall short in this game, 24-20. And I think that the Falcons will be 2-0 after this game, and the Broncos will be 1-1 to finish out week 2 of this NFL season. Like I said, I had a terrible weekend, as many of you probably did. But we're not going to talk about everybody else. We're going to talk about me. And I feel like crap because a lot of this I didn't see coming. I didn't see the Cardinals going to New England and winning. I didn't see the Ravens going to Philadelphia and losing. I didn't see the Rams beating the Redskins. These are all games that I lost. And I thought that I had a good grasp of, I knew that Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings game was going to be tough. I knew that that was going to be a game that I probably could lose. And that was one of the ones that I said, if I lose 3 games, that's going to be one of my losses. Well, I lost that game. I thought that the Chiefs were better than they were. I'm finding out very slowly and surely that these Chiefs are not as good as I thought they were. They went and laid an egg in Buffalo. I lost that game. You look at the Dolphins. I thought that the Raiders would be able to confuse Tannehill, force him into mistakes, limit, because they fooled me. For a second there, I actually thought the Raiders could play some run defense. I said, hey, they look solid against these Chargers on the ground. And maybe they can stop the Chargers or the Dolphins from running the football. I was wrong. It's the same Raiders year in, year out. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They're not good on defense. The Dolphins gashed them, put 35 points on their head. I lost that game as well. And so the Cowboys went and laid an egg in Seattle. I just was all over the place. I lost a plethora of games. I need this game tonight just to stay above water for the weekend. And so the Falcons have to take care of business, or else I'll be coming back to you singing a sad song about how I finished below 500 for the weekend. I need this game, and I got to have it. And I expect the Falcons to take care of business at home. It's going to be close. It's going to be competitive, but I expect the Falcons to come out as the victors in this one. So I got to have a better week 3. I'm going to analyze these games a lot more now. I think I have a better grasp of who's good, who's not, who's going to do what, where, and how, and why. And so I'm going to analyze these games because I need a big weekend. I got to get this record where it needs to be. I need to be elite. I have a burning desire, a hunger inside of me to be elite. And this weekend was anything but elite. And so I'll be better. I guarantee it. I'm George Foreman in you now. I guarantee it. I will be better in week 3. That's not saying a lot because I was so bad, but I guarantee it. I will be better in week 3, and I'm going to show you what I'm made of. I think I got this thing now. I got it on lock now. I feel good about where I'm going with this. And so that's going to do it for this episode of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. It was a long episode. We went over all these games. A disappointing weekend for myself. And got to be better. Got to be better. Couldn't foresee a lot of these games the way they ended, but I got to be better. Nonetheless, I have to be better at doing what I do. And so on that note, I thank you for joining me. Ask that you come back tomorrow. Same time, same place, and get you some more Lab Room. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.